Hi, this is Ambritt from Louisville Public Library. Today we're going to be doing some crafting, but I wanted to let you know we're going to have a grab bag the first Monday of every month. It's going to be related to the craft. There'll be supplies in there for you and it will correspond with that Saturday's video. So this will be once a month, the first Monday of the month. Also, if you could leave a comment, we'd really appreciate it. It truly helps the library. Just let us know how many people are watching at home and if there's anything else you'd like me to do in the crafting videos or different crafts you'd like to see. Okay, let's get started. Hello. So today we're making a cool little dish. You don't have to do this size, you could do bigger, and I will show you in the video. But it's just like a catch-all dish. You can put it by a door, put jewelry in it, keys. This is a nice little gift for someone, something handmade. Holidays are coming up, so it's just a thought. So let's get into it. Okay, so to get started today, I'm going to go through what you need first. You'll need some sort of plate or palette for the paint that we're going to use. You'll need some colors of paint, any colors you like. I want to make like a dark green, so I have some black and some bright green. And then I have some white. You might need Mod Podge. I will tell you why you may not. A little dish of some water. Some sort of bowl. Doesn't have to be a plastic bowl, it can be like a paper plate kind of bowl. We're just needing something to mold the clay and kind of let it sit in so that the clay has the kind of bowl look to it. So you can actually, use it as a dish and put things in it. And it could be any size. You could make something large or small like I have here. So for that you need air dry clay. If you don't have air dry clay, this is about $8 and you get quite a bit of clay in here. But if you don't have it or you don't want to buy any, there is a recipe that I will link in the description of this video that goes over how to make some at home. And then you'll need, you don't necessarily need a marker, but this is one of those gold paint markers. I'm going to do that around the perimeter of the bowl, just for like an added little touch. You could also use gold paint, could also just be like an acrylic paint like these. But if you have a marker, it might just be a little easier. And then of course some brushes. I would say 2, maybe even more depending on how many colors you're going to do. Of course you can wash the brushes in between and you could just use one brush. And then of course some napkins, and then just make sure you're cleaning your surface that you're doing your project in has some sort of mat or plastic bag or just something. Okay, so to get started, first thing you want to do is take your clay, and again, depending on how big you want this, you'll need more or less clay. So that's kind of what it looks like. This stuff dries pretty white. This is what the bottom looks like. I didn't paint this. I did paint the top white. As you can see, that little bit of different. It's just a little bit brighter than the bottom. I just wanted the top really bright, which is why I decided to paint it white. You don't have to. You could paint this any color, or you could leave it just as it is, just as that. And the air dry clay recipe that I will link looks pretty similar to this in color. So you just get your clay out onto some sort of utensil or spoon. What I like about the air dry clay is that it's really easy. Just make something and then just let it dry. You don't have to put this in the oven or anything like that. You just literally let it dry out in the, in the air. This stuff takes a few days to totally dry. This, let's see, I want to say about 4 days to get to this point. But about after 2 days, it was dry enough that I could have painted it and started doing things to it. But depending on how thick and how large of a piece you make with the clay, you might need to, wait longer. But a few days is usually the max on any kind of project, unless it was really large. So I'm just kneading this together. This is about the amount that I'm going to use to make something this size. So you really don't need much. So if you were going to make something this size with this amount of clay, you could make a lot. So if you don't have like a rolling pin, just use your hands, just good old-fashioned hands, and just kind of knead it out, just like a biscuit or any kind of dough. And then we're going to use this bowl to kind of mold art design. You could use absolutely anything you have at home. The goal is just to make it kind of, into a dish shape so that when it sits on a table somewhere, you can put something in it. So my plan for this one that I have here is I'm probably going to put like rings in it, like a ring dish. You could make something a little bit bigger and then make like a dish for your keys, put like by your door when you get home. Again, this is like a really nice gift idea. It's good timing right now to, you could make a gift for someone and tell them, hey, I didn't buy this, I made this. Okay, so now I've got it flattened out. You do want it thick enough that you can kind of tell there's some heft to it. You don't want to really thin this stuff out, because once you do, it's just really hard to work with it. When it starts to dry, it can crack. So kind of where I have it there, say is good. And then of course, whichever part, is your top versus your bottom. I worry less about the bottom having kind of imperfections, because again, it's sitting. The top is the part that I want to be the smoothest. So just kind of start, concaving your design down into whatever bowl or object you're using. Just kind of pushing it down so you can see that bottom. You can kind of start to see it coming through there. And don't, push it too hard. Kind of do it gingerly. Just kind of work it down just a little bit. Okay. And then take your water and then just smooth it out with the water, just on the, inside, on the sides. We're going to be cutting off some of this excess. So just go ahead and mainly focus on what you're not going to be cutting off. That's what you want to kind of look as smooth as possible. Okay, so I'm about done here. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to wash my hands. We will come back and I will go on to the next step. Okay, we're back. So now to cut off that excess you see there and make it look, more just round and smooth like an actual dish, you'll need something to cut. I have this blade here. So you could use like a box cutter like this, or an X-Acto blade, or a butter knife. That might actually be a little better. It's not so sharp. So you really don't need to be sharp. You just need something that's going to give you just a little bit of a cut around the side. So very carefully, along where the edge of your actual bowl is, like that rim, start to kind of cut and follow that a little bit. It's going to give you an idea of where you need to cut off your clay. You can see I'm doing that. So cut, just peel it away. And then just keep going along. Let's see, I go, this side is pretty good. I don't want to cut too much off there, so I'm just going to carefully cut just the teeniest bit. So there's that part. See, it's getting a little bit more where we want it. And then just a little bit off on this side, and then put this away. Okay. So now, you save your leftover scraps and put it with your other clay. And then take some more water and go along those sides where you cut, and smooth it down with your fingers and water. And just apply a little bit of pressure, smooth it out. just gonna make, you know, just a smooth little edge so it doesn't look so, you know, like you're cutting it with a blade. And you can smooth these down as much or as little as you want. I left mine, you know, it's not perfect, but it's definitely smoothed it down. Alright, so I'm going to leave it there. So it's really smoothed out. And now I'm just going to let it sit in this little bowl, just as it is. And then I'm going to let that dry. So again, about 2 days from now, I can then start painting this, doing whatever I want to, you know, to decorate it. But if I wait even longer, it'll be completely cured in like 4 days. Yeah, either way, I would just give it a few days and set that off to the side and let it dry. And then it'll look something like this. Again, I did paint this top white. And now I'm going to show you how I'm going to decorate it. So I have a little leaf I just cut out, just like you know, those palm leaves. 2 ways you can do this. You can either cut out a leaf like in paper, or if you have a sticker, and put it on there once your paint dries, if you decide to paint it, and then take some Mod Podge on a brush and Mod Podge this on. So to do that, just put some Mod Podge on the surface, then the leaf, and then go over the entire thing. And just seal it in there. So the leaf and the whole surface. I'm going to actually freehand a leaf with paint. This is the other thing you can do if you don't want to do this, the paper leaf part of it. So I'm going to take black and green to start off, just to make like a kind of dark green color. I don't need too much paint. For this, you don't need a lot, so try not to get very much. Okay. We're going to take your black and you're just mixing. If you could also just buy some, you know, dark green paint if you don't have any. Again, you can make some by mixing like I'm doing now. And of course, you can do it different colors. You don't have to do a leaf. You could do any kind of design. If you're giving this as a gift to someone, maybe if you know they really like stars, you could put some stars on it or something like that. So I'm just making a little mixture here. I want it to be a darker green shade, not this bright shade, not for this. Okay, so now I've got my dark green. You can see there. This is what I'm going to do. So for this, there's no rhyme or reason, just kind of freehand a leaf. Any kind, I saw one that's kind of spread out, which is what I'm going to do now. So you kind of just start, you just do one line. This is a pretty small, skinny brush. This is what you want for something like this. So I'm just doing one line, really lightly. And then just keep doing that. Like onto that line, you're just gonna keep, you know, flicking a line. All not something that you have to be super skilled to do, which is what I like. Some of those leaves, like this, because honestly, I would not be able to paint that very well. So I like something like this. It's just a little bit easier for me to do. So you can see what I'm doing. Kind of looks like the top of a pineapple. That's what makes me think of. I saw someone do this online somewhere and I thought that it looked really cool. And you can make your lines fatter or skinnier, so you've got some fat lines over there and some skinnier over here. And just kind of keep just adding to it. Just keep on adding because this is just acrylic paint, if you make a mistake, you can always go over it with more paint. Like if this looked horrible and I hated it, I could take some white paint and do a couple coats and cover this completely up and just scrap it and do something different. So don't feel too pressured to make it look perfect. There's nothing wrong with going, starting from scratch, doing it over again. So up in this corner here, I'm gonna add a few more lines, as you can see there, just to make like a smaller version of what I have. I think I'm about done. Add maybe just one more. Just a few lighter green lines. Add a couple darker pieces with some black, I think, too, just adding some dimension. Again, this is not any kind of, no rhyme or reason really, just adding. So now I'm going to stop there. So you can see I've just kind of done the middle and then just at the top there on the side. So again, I've just done, lines. I've just literally did, I'll show you again on this plate here. So I just kind of went one line down and then just kept going from there. And thicker lines, skinnier lines. You just keep building and building and building and going up until you come to a spot like this where you're like, okay, this looks good, I'm done. So once you're done with that, set that aside. Now I'm gonna do the perimeter with the gold. So take your gold paint or marker or whatever color you like. And then we're just going to be painting the side with a marker. Again, what's nice about this is because it is a marker, I'm not painting with a brush, I'm technically drawing, so it's just a little easier, I have a little bit more control. And so I'm just going along the side. There you go. So I'm going to finish this up and we will be right back. Okay, so now I have completed drawing on the gold around the entire perimeter of the little dish. To finish this off, you can do this if you want. You can add some Mod Podge to kind of seal it, kind of like if you did the paper leaf instead of painting it. If you're going to do this though, I would give this paint a couple hours to dry. Like, it's dry to the touch now, but just to be safe, I would let it dry a full day or a couple hours, because if not, the Mod Podge could bleed that paint and you don't want that. So yeah, that's really it as far as this goes. Again, now you can take any kind of little jewelry piece or anything and put it in there and have it set out in like a bedroom, by your doorway, make a bigger one, put some keys in it. Again, anything. This is a good gift for people in your life. And thanks for watching. Thanks for watching our video today. Join us again next week and every week on Saturdays for a crafting video. Also, again, there'll be a grab bag once a month on Mondays, the first Monday of the month, corresponding with that Saturday's craft. Again, please leave us a comment in this video. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us a bunch. And don't forget to stay safe out there.